So it's important that you focus on the ethical use of the data and set in place mechanisms within your organization. So data protection is not something that one single unit within a company can just run. It can't be a bunch of lawyers screaming, there is a law, there is a law.
I completely disagree with Jayanta that that we should give a 18-month grace period, which started in March, which is rapidly running. And I felt we should have just started with 6 months, but I think we are trying to accommodate as many people under the very difficult circumstances.
I agree with you on that. Right, the longer you give our people to comply, right, the more they wait for the last minute to try to implement
Absolutely.
it. I think I had this discussion with you. I think that time period should have been shorter.
I agree with you
because people are
completely,
now complacent and they
Absolutely.
think that it will never come into operation.
Absolutely. And complacency is what I want to talk to you about, Shenuka, because this is a process. You can't just wake up one day and say, we're going to comply with the Data Protection Act. This is a long process. You have to do your stress testing. You have to make sure that you refine your processes and create a lot of awareness. But my question to you is, what are the key things you can do quickly now to get started? Because the act has been passed now almost several months now.
So I think I disagree on the grace period needing to be shorter because there's a massive amount of work that you need to do. But I agree on the point on complacency. You cannot be complacent on this, especially if you're processing a large volume of data. So, because now if you look at most organizations, they're actually looking at becoming data driven, and with the law coming in, you get a lot of consumers also who are becoming more and more aware of their rights. And you have sessions like this which are done, which further draws them to the rights that they have under the law. So it's important that you focus on the ethical use of the data and set in place mechanisms within your organization. So and I love that your first question was also about CEOs and how they would find it cumbersome, because data protection is not something that one single unit within a company can just run. It can't be a bunch of lawyers screaming, there is a law, there is a law. It has to be a dashboard item. It has to be a CEO KPI where it's driven from the top, because it's a culture change.
Actually, it should be a board KPI as well.
Yes,
absolutely.
It's a culture change. Like you look at the journey we took on confidential information a couple of years back, it's now second nature to us. We would never sign a contract without a confidentiality clause. We would have people calling us up and saying, there's this request for data. Is it okay to share? This is confidential information. So I think even data protection and privacy has to become something like that in a couple of years. It's not something that you do overnight, of course. But one key thing that companies need to do is it has to flow from the top. The responsibility to the importance placed upon implementing these systems.